Hello, everybody. It's Alex Drobin with Remax. I help people just like you buy and sell real estate in Toronto. If you get any value from this video whatsoever, please consider subscribing. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a property, click the link at the bottom of this video to set up a call with me today. First of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who I've worked with this year. We just counted up on my deals and I did 34 transactions this year and one lease. So half of those transactions were on the buy side, half of them were on the sell side. Thank you to everybody for selling their properties with me, moving up in the market, buying, investment properties, allowing me to sell their properties, their condos, moving into bigger spaces. You'll be getting a gift from me this winter. It's December right now. So yeah, look forward to those gifts. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I don't know. I'm not. I really appreciate everybody referring me, sending me to their friends, their family. That's like the biggest compliment you could ever give me. So once again, thank you so much. You'll be hearing from me. So let's get into this real estate market update because these numbers are pretty crazy. So total sales have gone up 40.1% year over year from November of 2023 to November of 2024. So in 2023, there were 4,194 sales in November. This year, 5,875 sales. Lots of reasons for that. But again, the main one is the fact that the interest rates have come down pretty drastically now over the last few months. There was just another rate reduction a few days ago, went down by 0.50%. And this is really starting to affect people who are actually thinking about transacting and are starting to transact. 40.1% more sales in Toronto is an insane number. Last month, it was very similar. This month, it seems like people continue to transact throughout the winter, which we don't see as much of usually, but this winter, it seems like it's been a little bit more busy. New listings are up 6.6% year over year from November 2023 to November of 2024. It seems like people are testing out the market to see if they can get a certain price for their property. And honestly, there's a lot of activity right now in November and December that we haven't seen in the last like 3, 4 years. So people are a bit more active. But that leads into the next stat here, which is a bit alarming. It's a bit of a red flag for me because the active listings are up 30.2% year over year from November of 2023 to November of 2024. Active listings are up 30%. Okay. So, again, in my opinion, it seems like a lot of people who were told that they could get a certain number for their property, a certain sale price for their property, that can't seem to get that price are still on the market. 30.2% is that's a huge number. And basically what that means is that a lot of people are just okay with letting their property sit on the market for a little while. Potentially have a couple of offers come in. If they don't like something, they don't have to accept it. But 30.2%, it just means that people aren't willing to sell nearly as quickly as they were last year around this time. 2023, 16,754 active listings. This year, 21,818 active listings. And side note, I see this happening in situations where a real estate agent will tell somebody that they can get, 1.5. Let's say somebody will tell a seller that they can get $2 million for their property, but it's really worth $1.8 million. But in order to get the listing, I see a lot of real estate agents be like, yeah, we can get you $2 million for this. Absolutely. When in fact, there's no chance of anybody getting $2 million for that property. It's worth 1.8. They end up getting the listing over somebody that tells them the actual price of what it will sell for. And then it just sits on the market. Sometimes it just doesn't get showings. Sometimes they get a couple of showings. They get significantly lower offers, and then everyone gets mad at each other. The seller gets mad at the agent. The agent is like, well, it's not the market changed or whatever excuse they want to use. And then they use a bunch of strategies to bring down the price, and they eventually sell significantly lower than what it was listed for, and everyone's mad at each other. That's why the active listings are so high. And I think that I've been seeing that more and more lately. Myself and my team, we will not take any overpriced listings. I say this all the time. If we tell you a property is worth $1.5 million and you want 1.7 for it, we are not going to take that listing because we don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on a property and then it doesn't sell. And then, like I said before, everyone gets upset with each other and it's a difficult situation. Anyways, next, the average price in Toronto went up 2.6% year over year from November of 2023 to November of 2024. And right now, the average price of a Toronto home is $1,106,000. So again, went up slightly, 2.6%. That's $26,000 on every million. not the biggest increase, but the biggest increase actually came in the detached market, which I'll get into in a second. Okay, let's get into the sales and average price by every major home type, starting with the detached market. So the average price of a detached home in Toronto is 1,695,000, which is actually up 5.9% year over year from November of 2023 to November of 2024. 5.9% is it's a significant figure. So on every $1 million, that's 59,000 bucks. Okay, so if it's 1.7, you're looking at close to about 75 grand appreciation year over year on a property that's a detached home year over year. I see a lot of people kind of moving into that detached home bracket once again. The difference between a semi-detached property and a detached property is about $400,000 right now. And with the rates coming down, people seem to be a little bit more comfortable in reaching a bit higher for that detached property as opposed to a semi, a townhouse, or a condo. So yeah, average price of a detached home went up 5.9% year over year. That's a big figure. And then an even bigger figure is that the sales have gone up 49% year over year. That's a crazy number. 49% more sales in November of 2024 than in November of 2023. And the average detached home price is up 5.9%. Now, there was just a report that came out from TD that said that based on these new rules, and I'll have a video about this soon, but based on these new mortgage rules, which basically state that now you don't have to have 20% down to purchase a property for $1 million. You need about 75,000 on every million, which is 7.5% on every million. That's going to affect affordability. People are going to be able to afford more expensive homes depending on whether you qualify or not. But that just came into effect on December 15th. So I think some of that does have to do with, the fact that the prices of detached homes are up 5.9%. But yeah, anything up to $1.5 million, you don't have to have 20% down for. Whereas before December 15th, anything over $1 million, you were required to put down 20%. So if you were buying a property for $1 million on the dot, you needed $200,000. Now you only need 75. Again, that's if you qualify. That's for people who don't have a big enough down payment, but make enough money on a monthly basis to afford it. That it's good for those types of people. Otherwise, I don't think it's gonna work for everybody because again, you still have to be able to support, support a monthly payment for a $1.5 million house, which a lot of people can't do. But anyways, I think that does have some effect on what's happening here. And yeah, 49% more sales year over year from November 2023 to November of 2024. And the average price came up 5.9%, which is that's a huge number. The semi-detached market. The average price of a semi-detached home in Toronto is $1,248,000, which is actually up 2.8% year over year. The same thing's happening in the semi-detached market. It seems like people are a little bit more aggressive. People want to transact more. The actual sales are up 24% year over year. So yeah, people are reaching a little bit higher from that townhouse, moving up to the detached market. The townhouse prices are at about 900,000 right now, but the semi-detached market it's an interesting one because it's always fluctuating between like that 1.1 and 1.3 million dollar mark in the last few years. And yeah, right now it's sitting right there at $1.248 million. Now, for the most interesting stat of this video, we're going to talk about the townhouse market because the average price of a Toronto townhome in November of 2024 is $904,000, which is actually down 6.1% year over year. Okay. So down 6.1% year over year. But an even more interesting stat, and the one that I wanted to mention, is that last month, so in October, the October stats, so the average price of a Toronto townhome in October of this year was 1.032 million, and the average price of a townhome in Toronto in November is $904,000. So that's about $100,000 difference. And if you watch my last video, I was talking about how the townhouses just hit the $1 million mark again for the first time in a while, and this month they just came right back down to 900. Again, I think this strands from people who can afford townhomes being like, you know what, let's reach a little bit more. These rates are coming down. We can afford a semi-detached property. So instead of going for a townhouse, they tended to reach for the semis. And that's why I think the townhouses took a hit this month. But that's isn't that such an interesting stat? In October, average price was $1 million, 1,032,000, and in November, the average price of a townhome was 904,000, 904,000. And then I was looking at it too because I was like, maybe there weren't as many sales. In October, there were 224 townhouses sold in Toronto for an average price of 1.032 million. And in November, there were 207 townhouses sold. So it's like those numbers aren't too far off, 15 less townhouses sold month over month, but the price went down $100,000. That's an interesting one. Again, I think that does have something to do with the fact that rates are coming down. People are reaching for those semi-detached properties, and then the people in the semi-detached market are starting to reach for the detached properties. So I think the townhouses will take a bit of a hit. Yeah, but what an interesting stat. Month over month, down $100,000. All right. Next, the condo market. The average price of a Toronto condo in November of 2024 is $713,000, which is actually down 0.3%. So not much of a difference year over year, but $713,000. There are tons of condos that are on the market. I said this last month. I'll say it again. I think if you're looking for a condo, wait a little bit longer. Wait until like March, April, because I think in March and April there will be tons of listings, tons of condo inventory from people who purchased properties in 2020, 2021 who have to refinance after their 5-year super low fixed rates, such as myself. Um, I, I said this last video, but I'll say it again for those that didn't watch the last video. The condo I'm sitting in right now, I bought in 2020, and I had a 1.52% fixed rate for 5 years, which is up this March of 2025. So I'm gonna have to refinance at a higher rate, and I think a lot of people are gonna have to do that as well. Not just with the condo market, but I think with the other major home types. But having said that, I think the condo market is, there are so many properties right now that are available that unless you see an incredible deal, you should wait a little bit to purchase a condo right now. But yeah, the average condo price in November 2024, $713,000. And I'm just going to check in October, the average price was $721,000. So, it came down slightly month over month, and it came down a tiny bit year over year. But that's the condo market right there. I want to touch on one more thing in regards to the mortgage rule changes. A lot of people have been asking me about it. Like, what do you think is going to happen in the new year with these new mortgage regulations? The fact that you don't have to put down 20% of whatever any property that you buy up to $1.5 million. How is that going to affect the market? Our price is going to go up. What will happen? Like I said before, TD just put out a report saying that by June, home prices will be up 2.2 to 4% year over year, which is that's quite a bit. Average price year over year is already up 2.6%. So if they're saying, prices are going to come up 2 to 4% by June, so in the next like 6 months, I don't necessarily agree with that. But I do think that prices are going to come up slightly. The one thing I'll say is that people still need to afford these properties, right? Um, and one thing I always tell my clients is that no matter what, like no matter how much you want a property or if you like something that's a slightly out of budget or you're asking for help or whatever, I would always tend to be a little bit more cautious. I always recommend being a bit more cautious in those situations because even if you can't afford those monthly payments, it's like you don't want to burden yourself with that high of a mortgage payment every month. Do you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, don't overextend yourself just because of these new mortgage regulations. And you're like, okay, I was looking for a property up to 1.2, and now with these new regulations, maybe I can afford something up to 1.5. And being able to afford something is quite different than actually having to pay those mortgage payments every month. So it's just something to be a bit more cautious about. And again, you still have to qualify for those monthly payments because that's how mortgages are done, right? You have the down payment, and then they basically qualify you based on how much you can afford to pay for a property every month. That includes taxes, and if you have a condo, includes maintenance fees. And yeah, so in my opinion, I don't think the market's going to come up drastically. I do think prices will increase, but just stay a bit more cautious. Don't overextend yourself. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this market update. Again, I was a little bit all over the place. I'm going to do these often, all the time. I'm interviewing a mortgage broker, so look out for that. Look out for that video in the next couple of days. And I'm also doing a big condo market update prior to the new year. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. And thank you so much for watching.